Today's Manna. 가스펠라이프 철치 데니얼 김 목사가 보내드리는 시간입니다.
Hello to the friends and family of KCBS. My name is Daniel and welcome to today's Manna. You know, there's a scripture in Psalm chapter 46 verse 10 that says, "Be still and know that I'm God." And Exodus chapter 14 verse 14 says this, "The Lord will fight for you and you need only to be still." And he also tells us in Psalm chapter 46 verse 10 where the author says, he says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations and I will be exalted in the earth." You know, there's a different thing about the era that you and I are living in, because we live in the loudest era in human history. I want you to think about that for a moment. Not loud in the way of thunder or crashing waves, but loud in a deeper and more relentless way. We carry devices in our pockets that buzz, that ping, and we pull at our attention from the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep. We have more entertainment, more news, more content, and more notification than any generation before us. And even when the phone is face down and the TV is off, the inner noise continues. The replaying of conversations, the rehearsing of the worries, the planning and the second guessing and the mental scroll. We are deeply, profoundly unaccustomed to being still. And yet, God tells us something special where he says, "Be still." Not be busy for me, not be productive for me, not even be loud in worship for me, but through all of those things have their place. And here in the ancient psalm, written in the thousands of years ago by a people surrounded by enemies and upheaval, God's invitation is simply this, where he says, "Stop, quiet yourself, and know that I am God." There's something in that stillness that God says we cannot find anywhere else. And it is worth understanding when God gives his command, because it may surprise you. Because Psalm chapter 46 is not a peaceful psalm in its setting, but it opens with earthquakes and roaring seas. It describes nations in uproar, kingdoms falling, the earth itself is giving away, and this is not a psalm written from a hammock on a quiet afternoon. I believe that it is written in the middle of chaos. And it is precisely in the middle of the chaos that God says, "Be still." He's not saying, "Wait until life calms down to find me." He's not saying, "Once you get through the season, then you'll be able to hear my voice." He's rather saying, right now in the middle of the shaking, in the middle of the uncertainty, in the middle of the noise, there is stillness available for you that transcends your circumstances. And this is one of the most radical invitations in all of Scripture. God is not hiding from you in this chaos. He is present in it, and he's calling you to go deeper, past the surface noise, past the fear and past the striving, into a place of inner quiet where you can simply know that he is God. The Hebrew word used up here for this is here where he says, "Be still." Be still in the original language is called Rapha. It carries a meaning of letting go, to release your grip, to cease striving, to sink down and to relax, and it's the image of someone who has been white-knuckling it, holding on tight, straining against something, and then simply letting their hands open. How many of us are white-knuckling our lives right now? We're gripping on our plans so tightly. We're straining to our control outcomes that are not ours to control. We are rehearsing our arguments, managing our image. We are running the calculation of every possible scenario. We are striving, and striving has its place, but striving was never meant to be our home. And this is what God tells us in a scripture where he says, "Let go." It means Rapha, saying release your grip. He says, "Sink into me." And there is a beautiful trust in stillness. Because when you are willing to stop striving long enough to be still before God, you're making a declaration, not with your lips, but with your posture, that says, "You are God and I am not. You are in control and I don't have to be." And that is an act of worship. So what does it look like in real life on a real Monday and Tuesday for a real person with real responsibilities? It doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, complexity is often the enemy of stillness. Start small. Spend 5 minutes today in the morning before you go look at your phone. Not a podcast, but just you being quiet. A walk without earbuds. A meal eaten slowly without a screen, and small windows of Rapha, of releasing the grip, scattered through an ordinary day. And in these moments, you don't have to manufacture a feeling or produce the right words. You can simply come before God like a child comes to a parent and say, I am here, you are God, and that is enough. And I want to encourage all of you here today to seek His kingdom and His righteousness and be still and know that He is the God.
지금까지 가스펠라이프 철치의 데니얼 킴 목사였습니다. 성경이나 예수 그리스도에 관해서 더 알기를 원하시는 분은 시카고 기독교 방송 전화 847-583 영원 구원으로 연락 바랍니다.